right, good morning, Venture Church. It's a little bit different this morning. I hope you saw it when you walked in this morning. It's a little bit, there's students everywhere this morning, and that is intentional. You see students on stage, you see them at the doors, and you're about to see them as they come out soon. But I just want to say thank you for participating in our straw polls. It looks like coffee has dominated the day. The coffee is the superior drink, it looks like, and it looks like pineapple absolutely does not belong on pizza. So if that's something to celebrate this morning, let me hear you cheer for those two things. All right, I don't want to leave the rest of you out. Whoever voted for the other ones, let's get some cheers up for those as well. There we go. I know we're passionate about pineapple, but my opinion is that it soaks all the juices out when you put it in the oven. So I'm like, I respect pineapple too much to put it on pizza. But if you haven't figured it out by the way that I'm talking, I'm the student pastor here at Venture Church, and I am so excited to celebrate with you this morning. Welcome to a slice of what we do on Wednesdays. One of my favorite things that we do on Wednesdays is we actually keep the doors closed until service starts because it kind of forces community, it forces the mingling, it forces just the idea of like to be the church together and to fellowship together. And so I apologize and thank you, and you're welcome for all the experiences you had this morning. Thank you for allowing our students to be equipped this morning, because that's one of our core values here at Venture Church, is that we equip the next generation. And part of the reason that we equip them, or part of the way that we equip them, is that we empower them to do the work of the ministry. And so we've empowered our students this morning to be the hands and the feet, to be the door greeters, to be the hospitality team, to be the worship team, to celebrate them this morning. So can you give all of our students a round of applause? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, we're going to continue the celebration, and I'm going to need more applause than that because it's going to be a long time for them to all walk out, but I'm going to be introducing all of our seniors and their family. Carter, come on, lead the way out. Everybody give them a big round of applause as they come to the stage. Keep it going, because we got 8 of them. 8 seniors and families this morning, 8 seniors and families. It is a long, it is a fun, it is a little awkward clap, but I promise you, what you have not graduated yet, you're going to have more long, awkward claps that you're going to have to get used to. And so welcome to graduation season. This is the time where you get to be presented in front of dozens and hundreds, some of you thousands of people as you take this next step into life. And so I just want to say, as your student pastor, as someone who has been in each and every single one of your lives and families, thank you so much for being here this morning. It is an honor to celebrate you together as Venture Church. The staff, the people, you're going to hear this a lot this morning, students, but we just want to say we're proud of you. We're excited for you. We're saddened for some of you because you're going to leave the nest for a little bit, but some of you were excited that you're sticking around for a little bit. And so it's a bittersweet day that we just get to celebrate together today, but we're really excited. And the way that we're going to do this is that I'm going to announce every student and their family individually, and they're going to walk to the front, and I'm going to say some things about them. And after every single person is presented, we're going to do a round of applause for every single person. And the round of applause will then transition to the next person. So are we clear on the rules? I'm going to call their name. They're going to stand up here. We're going to applaud for them. And then when they walk back, we're going to applaud for them again. So it's going to be a lot of clapping. We're going to have some red bruised hands by the end of the service, but it's going to be fun. All right? Capiche, everybody? Capiche? All right, let's do this thing. Carter James Calvin, come on forward, buddy. Come on forward. One thing I love about Carter's pictures is that if you look at his middle picture and his final picture, they're the exact same pose. I don't know if anything has changed over those 10 years other than the cute face, man. So seriously, Carter, you're awesome. I appreciate you being here so much for this morning. His sisters and his parents representing him this morning. Carter is a senior at Keller High School, which is in Southlake, Texas. Some of his accomplishments is that he was a PALS leader. If you know anything about PALS leader, it's like a brother-sister type program where he is a older mentor to elementary age kids. And so he's been a leader not only in the student ministry, but out in the community as well in his school system. So he was a PALS leader. He was also an NHS leader, which that means he was very smart, probably smarter than me when I was in high school. And so Carter, thank you for doing what you do, man. When you were this little baby over here, if you can see on the screen, when you were on this little, what is that, little dirt bike type thing, you wanted to be a pilot, and we can see that in the photo right there. Some of his future plans right now he's going to be going to Abilene Christian University University, ACU, over in West Texas, and he's going with the hopes of being a sports broadcaster in the future. So I look forward... Carter, I look forward to your article of the Mavs winning the cup the Stars winning the cup this year and the Mavericks winning the chip this year. So we're really excited for that. His favorites, we give him the option of doing a life verse or a mantra or a quote or a line from movies, something that just inspires them. And it says this. Tim Tebow is the one that said this. It says, "What God knows about us is more important than what others think." I'm going to say it one more time because I feel like someone needs to hear that. What God knows about us is more important than what others think. Carter, you've been a leader for us, and you've been awesome to us, man. And so, again, we're excited to have you here for a little bit. Man, we're going to send you 3 hours to West Texas, but we're proud of you, brother. So, Carter, James, Calvin, give it up, ladies and gentlemen. All right, who is next? I've got this out of order. We're already killing it. All right, Trey Anthony Cipriani. Trey is joined by his family, his dad, Royal, his sister, Megan, and his brother. I didn't write this down, but I'm going to try to get it right. Chris, thank you, Megan. Chris is here, or Trey is here, represented by his family. Trey is a member of Keller High School. We've mentioned this before, but it's worth mentioning again. 7 or 8 months ago, Trey started on this odyssey, this journey, this adventure to start to learn the drums, right? 7 or 8 months ago, how long are we, 7 or 8 months? April, August, so whatever the math is on that. He started in August learning drums, and it was seriously like this, hey, I want to learn drums. At the time, we had this individual named Trent Ball who was awesome, who was a mentor in his life. He's like, I want to learn the drums. And so 7 to 8 months later, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but he was in the drum cage today, like drumming up a storm, and he's been jumping in and being awesome. And if I have this right, this is what your dad told me. He had no musical skill or ability whatsoever to start this thing. And so here we are, man. And I think it's a testament to your hard work, your dedication. You're putting your nose to the grindstone, man. So thank you so much for serving our church in that way. Another notable accomplishment that he found, he said that he found Jesus last year. And so I still remember you coming in February of last year, sitting in a small group circle, very hesitant to do the church thing, but you're like, I'll talk about Jesus with my friends, and that talking about Jesus led to the church thing, right? And now you're serving your church, and you're being a part of it, and you're a valuable member for here. So another thing he learned in high school, which I thought this was really cool, he learned how to cook really well. He took culinary classes, and he was Chef Cipriani in high school. And so, I went to your award ceremony. You got some kind of award. I forgot what it was, but you were, what was it? The King Burger. He made some contraption that was inject the straight into my arteries, clog them, type meal. I think it was a donut on top of a burger, something like that. It was crazy. But as a child, you wanted to be a chef, right? And so you've been doing something related to the culinary arts for a long time. Now you're 18 and trying to figure out what the next life stage is. Everything's open on the table, right? And so I've heard you talk about wanting to become a tradesman of some sort. You're leaning towards becoming an electrician. So if there's any electricians out there that want to take on an apprentice, or you want to open up your own trade business, you want to be in real estate, you're figuring it out, right? Because you're 18 years old. And so this is the time to figure it out, man, and we're here to help you out. And so his favorite, this is from a movie, and it's from the great theologian Ricky Bobby, and it says, if you ain't first, you're last. So Trey Anthony Cipriani, everybody. All right, now we're getting back on track, and I'm getting back in order in my notes. I've got a set of twins up here, and so give it up for, first, we're going to recognize Melody Angela. Nope, sorry, I got out of order. Luke, you're going to go up first, buddy, because I got this out of order. Everybody get up for Luke Michael Gilbreth. I'm killing it this morning. I'm killing it. All right, parents, Audra and Sean Gilbert are here, and his sisters Tara and Dakota are somewhere around here. But Luke, you've been awesome, man. Again, you stepped into this past semester, not this semester, but last semester, our fall semester, man. And it was kind of this Trey story. You came in and you were like, you heard this thing called discipleship, and you stepped in. And discipleship happened 1 week, and then the following week he was like, I'm gonna give my life to Jesus. And so as you gave your life to Jesus, man, you've been a leader in this student ministry, and you've been investing in it. And man, I think I spend more time with you than another person, because you're up here at like 12 o'clock every single Wednesday helping get stuff done, because you get early you get early out of school because you're a senior, man. So seriously, thank you so much for all that you invest. You've done so much work behind the scenes that is not seen by people, and so I just want to say thank you so much for who you are, man. Also went to Keller High School, and he played football his freshman year, really enjoyed it so much that he quit, and he didn't play his sophomore year. You played sophomore year, but then junior year you stopped. And so, again, you really enjoyed playing football, but again, God was calling you to just more things in life, and so you just were really focusing on that thing. And that thing that you were focusing on was that you found Jesus. Again, another noticeable accomplishment that he put down in here. And then another thing, that he joined this thing called the SLT. If you don't know what that is, it's our student leadership team. It's this group of about 15 members of our student ministry that are seriously doing everything. Like, they make the ministry run. Everything from setup to tear down, everything from helping with teaching, helping with worship. Seriously, like, if it happens on a Wednesday night, it happens because these students do it. I just get to be the guy that comes in and talks sometimes on a Wednesday night. So seriously, they run the ministry, and I'm able to just provide life and provide discipleship and do what I'm able to do. But seriously, they run the ministry, and you're a huge part of it, brothers. So I appreciate you so much. As a child in this, you can kind of see in this middle photo over here, he's holding this thing. That's the wrong button. This button right here, that's the laser pointer. You can see him holding this animal, and that's because he wanted to become a zookeeper when he was young. And now some of his future plans as he graduates high school is he wants to be a fireman. And he said simply, fighting fires and following Jesus. That's a good life goal to be after, man. All right. Another great theologian, Patrick Starr, said this quote that Luke has shaped his life around. And you'll have to apologize. I apologize if I don't know. Can you help me pronounce this word? What's mechanicians. This is the word. So this is what Patrick Starr said that Luke ascribes to. He says, "The inner mechanicians of my mind are an enigma." Give it up for Luke Michael Gilbreth. Oh my goodness. Thank you, my lovely assistant, Katie. Katie Ronhill, everybody. Giving the senior gifts out. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Katie. All right, let's try this one more time. Melody, Angela. No. I'm just going to skip. Melody, Angela, Chambers Dothard. Come on up. Jeffrey, you come on up too. Everybody come on up. Oh my goodness, I got this all out of sorts, but we're gonna get back on track. All right, so Melody is joined by her grandfather Ernie, her stepfather Maurice Bell, and her family friend Derek Grace. This family has been awesome to Venture Church for a very long time, and so I want to thank y'all for y'all's faithfulness of being to this church and just all the blood, sweat, and tears that you poured into this place. Melody, the same for you. You're in our children's ministry. I feel like every other Sunday or every single Sunday, I always see you back there holding babies and making a difference back there, and so I just want to say thank you for all that you do for us. Jeffrey, I'm gonna come back to you, but we're going to start with Mel first. So here's what happened. They both went to Haltom High School, and Melody, she was the National Wrestling Coach. She was a part of the National Wrestling Coaches Association, and she was in the U.S. Marine Corps High School Scholar All-American Award. She won all the awards for every single event. So she won an award for wrestling and for the Marine Corps, and she spent 7 years in choir, and she has attained this thing called a First Division Award for solo and ensemble contests, and she wrestled for 3 years. I don't know if you guys know this. In our student ministry, yes, very much so. In our student ministry, I feel like we have like the most elite wrestlers in Keller and Haltom and Birdville. I don't know what it is, but our student ministry attracts wrestlers, and so I see them on the ground every single Wednesday getting after it, and she's a part of that crew. And so Melody, when you were a child, you wanted to be a lawyer, and this is why she wanted to be a lawyer, so she could defend people. She wants to make a difference in this world by being a lawyer when she was younger. Right now, some of her plans are going to TCC, which that's a college around the area, and continuing her education to pursue a career in pre-med. So either way, whether it's by nursing, by doctoring, by lawyering, she wants to make a difference in this world. And so here is her personal quote. I can't actually say this personal quote out loud on this stage, Melody, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say it is by Principal Joe Clark in the movie Lean On Me, and I would say just come ask her after the service. Come ask her what her favorite quote is, and I'm sure she would love to tell you. All right, give it up for Melody. All right, let's do this. Jeffrey Angelo Chambers Dothard. Give it up for Jeffrey. He is accompanied by the same men on stage who have made the same difference, and so the same sentiment goes to you one more time. Thank you for all you do for this church, gentlemen. And Jeffrey, the one thing I remember about you, I remember the first time I ever met you. I don't know if you remember this. It was during the Super Smash Bros. Tournament that we had about 2 years ago. And when I tell you that this guy is a menace on the Nintendo Switch playing Super Smash Brothers, it wasn't even a fair fight for anybody that was involved in our student ministry, including myself, which I'm pretty good at that game, but like I don't even hold a candle to you. So man, you are awesome in the wrestling and the video game thing, and I want you to just say thank you, man. You've been awesome. It's been a pleasure getting to know you these past several years. Also went to Haltom High School. He completed 1 year in JROTC. He is Adobe Animation certified. He has business courses completed in travel and tourism. And so you are the guy that like when people are hiring and they say you need years of experience before you even have the experience, you have the experience already coming out of high school, man. And so I want to say thank you. And dude, like I'm proud of you for accomplishing things before you're even out of high school yet, man. As a child, much like Trey Cipriani, he wanted to be a pastry chef. He wanted to be a chef. He wanted to feed people. And now, after graduation, he will be going into the Air Force. And he wants to live comfortably, and he wants to serve his country, man. And so I appreciate that from you. And the last thing about Jeffrey, his personal life mantra actually is a personal quote. And he says, "I'm so hungry I could eat a horse." Jeffrey Angelo, Chambers Dothard, everybody. And Katie is going to give y'all a gift. Y'all give y'all a gift. Everybody give it for Katie, delivering the gifts. All right, Brady Foster Hamilton, otherwise known as Braden. Braden. The easiest way to know how to spell Braden, Brady told me this multiple times, the easiest way to know how to spell Braden, which is his actual name, is just add an N. That's all it is. Just add an N right after that Y. Brady, you have been a staple in this student ministry, man. You have been so good to us. It's been a joy getting to know you over these past 3 or 4 years or so. Again, you've been a part of all of discipleship. You've been a part of all of the game planning, behind-the-scenes work. You've been over to my house 100 times talking strategy, playing video games over Discord. We're talking about sermon prep and all of these things. Man, you've been a person that's inspired me and inspired the student ministry from the sermons that we talk about, from the songs that we pick, from the things that we do and set up and tear down, man. So I just want to say I'm thankful for you, man. Thank you for your mark on this ministry. You also went to Keller High School. You went to state competition for vase art competition. Am I reading that right? Vase art. He is an artist. He's done several of our sermon bumpers, which if you don't know, that's like the transition video that goes from worship to sermon. He's done several of those for us, so he's a very creative mind. He has competed in several chess tournaments and done very well in them. And again, also going to Abilene Christian University, he has a scholarship that he is very proud of being able to go there on his own terms, man. So when you were a child, you also wanted to be a zookeeper. You wanted to tend to animals. And now some of your future plans are to become a firefighter. So you and Luke are going down similar life paths, and I'm excited for you guys to step into that. And his favorite life verse, his mantra, is Psalms 18:33. So Brady, thank you so much. Everybody, Braden Foster Hamilton. All right, Brady, and receive your gift. Receive your gift from Katie. All right, who is next? Oh, this beautiful picture. I forgot about this. So this is actually really funny. I don't know what is in the water systems of Keller, Texas, but this is the 4th year in a row that I've had either twins or triplets that I'm graduating from here. And so I don't know what's in the water right now. I actually have some of our triplets that have returned here, but this is the 4th year in a row of me doing Senior Sundays where I've had twins or triplets on stage. And so welcome. You're the four in a row. That's typical twin behavior right there. I love it. I love it. All right, Jacqueline Marie Rose. Jackie is accompanied by her parents, Jamie and Richard Rose, and she went to Keller High School, and she was a 2-time state qualifier and school record holder for pole vault, and she was also graduated with AP and scholars, AP Scholar with honors. So she's very smart, very athletic. Yes, absolutely. Give it up for her. I hope it's okay that I share this, but I was asking her one time, I was like, hey, I want to go to your track meet, and I want to see pole vault and whatnot. And she was like, oh, like you shouldn't come. Like, I'm going to win. If I show up and I start out like I'm going to win, and I was like, oh, you're that good. She's like, yeah, it's gonna be a breeze. Like, you don't even need to show up. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, I still want to come anyway. I never got that invite, but like that's how good she was at pole vault. She was injured in this whole district, but she still, there's a photo of her, I hope it's okay to say this, there's like a Michael Phelps photo of her, of holding all of her awards and accomplishments, and so seriously, she has been an athlete, but more than that, like not even speaking to your athletic ability, your character and your heart and just your imprint on this ministry has just been so nice. You are always this smiling person. You're always walking in as a breath of fresh air. You're always looking to be this supportive glue person that makes this ministry run. And so always stepping in on greeting team, always stepping in to help with games, always stepping in to do like whatever. You are the person that steps in and do it. And so I appreciate your proactivity in making this ministry work and just making it what it is. So thank you, Jackie. Also a Keller High School graduate. When she grew up, she wanted to be a soccer player, but she put down the ball and picked up a big old pole, and now she jumps like 14 feet in the air and she flies high. Some of her future plans are she is going to attend Vanderbilt University, go D1 in pole vault, and hopefully afterwards she plans on getting a degree in sports psychology and making a more impact in the world through athletes. Her life verse is 1 Corinthians 2:9, and her life mantra says this: comparison is the thief of joy. That's a big one. Comparison is the thief of joy. Everybody get up for Jackie Marie Rose. All right, here we go. Peyton Marie Wagstaff. Is it Marie? Nicole, I'm so sorry. I am really killing it this morning. I am firing on all cylinders. Peyton Nicole Wagstaff. Peyton Nicole Wagstaff. You are last on here, but you are certainly not least. I'm sure with the last name W.A. that you're used to kind of being towards the end of the line. But Peyton, seriously, you've been in this ministry now, not to discredit or anything, but you've been in the ministry the shortest amount of time up here, but in that time you've made such an impact. Every single Wednesday that you walk in, you bring this smile and this infectious joy. And luckily, we don't have to have comparison. There's no thief of joy. And even if there is a thief of joy, like you bring the joy back into the place. And so it's been a pleasure having you on our serving team, on our greeting team. Like it is a breath of fresh air to walk in and see you smiling, to see you holding the iPad. I think everybody's day gets a little bit brighter when they walk in and see you on Wednesdays. And so I just want to say thank you for your service. Thank you for your imprint on this student ministry. It's an honor to be celebrating you this morning. So Peyton, you are joined by your parents and your best friend, Abby Heffler. Abby Heffler is like a sister. She's the one that invited Peyton into our ministry several months ago, and so thank you, Abby. Yeah, absolutely. All right, a Birdville High School graduate. She played 3 years of softball, and she's involved in 3 different community organizations in school. She joined FCCLA, and she built a project from scratch that competed in regionals, and she's also a part of our student leadership team. So she has done everything. When it comes to, like, when I think of, like, the busy high school student, I think of Peyton. Like, she is always doing something, always competing in something, always winning awards for something. I didn't read this until now. As a child, she wanted to become a princess. She wanted to be a princess. As you can see, I think this is actually the moment where she's pouting, where her parents are like, that might not happen for you. She also wanted to be other things. She wanted to be a singer superstar, which you can see her in her album cover in the middle. And she also wanted to be a martial arts instructor. And so she wanted to do a little bit of everything. But now that she is considering what to do in life, she is going to get her basics done at TCC, and then she's going to study psychology to become a counselor or a therapist for children at school. And so you are following in the footsteps of making a generation, reaching the next generation, so that the next generation can have an impact in healthy living. And so as someone who has a psychology degree, I say, like, I'm more on to you. I'm happy for you. It is an awesome degree to get. It's incredibly practical. And so I'm excited to see what you do with it. I'm excited to see the children and the families that you make a difference in your life. And so she has 2 quotes by the great theologian Winnie the Pooh. And Winnie the Pooh says this. He says, "Life is a journey to be experienced, not a problem to be solved." I'm going to say it one more time. Life is a journey to be experienced, not a problem to be solved. And also her counselor, Miss Modelo, she said, "You cannot give what you do not have." You cannot give what you do not have. And luckily, you have a lot of joy, and you give a lot of joy, Peyton. So Peyton Nicole Wagstaff, thank you very much. All right, seniors, this is the time where I just get to talk to you directly, and I get to turn my back to the crowd, and I just get to speak to you. And so I've told you this already, but I want to say it again publicly. And again, we're proud of you. Like, We're excited for you. I know from my experience and from our Journey Adult leader and from our staff, we see the tangible difference that you've made in our student ministry, and we got to see a glimpse of it, of how you can do it on Sunday morning. And so thank you for just serving so faithfully in all the areas of this church and making a difference so that our people can look at you and be inspired, and you can look at our people and be inspired. Like, that's the beauty of the church. And so I'm hoping and I'm praying that as some of you go off to other churches, that you look for that. You can look for a community that you can be family with. This thing isn't done right if you can't do it as family within the church context. And so look for family within the churches that you go to. And the ones that are staying here, we're excited to have you as a different version of the family that we're stepping into. And so welcome to adulthood officially. Some of you have already turned 18, so you're already there, but welcome to it. This is like your promotion Sunday, kind of, but then you're going to come back to student camp and be a senior. But we just want to say thank you so much. The gifts that you have in your hands are not only a gift to say thank you for all you've accomplished, and we're proud of you, but it's also a charge into the next season of life. And so there are two things that you can venture in this next season of life, all right? It's always slippery territory when you say there's only two options, but I'm going to say two options. You can pursue a career, or you can pursue a calling. Say it one more time. You can pursue a career, or you can pursue calling. And the difference between those two things is that a career is a 40-hour job that you work through and you get a paycheck and you live comfortably, and that's the work that you do, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think when you turn your career into a calling, it shifts as a follower of Jesus. All of a sudden, my workplace is a ministry. My workplace is a mission field. My workplace is used to the kingdom of God and used as a tool to make his kingdom come more and more over again. And so I would advise you, as you're thinking and dealing with all of the 18-year-old thoughts of what am I going to do next? What am I going to pour my life into? How am I going to spend my 40 hours a week? I would advise you this. Find something you're passionate about. Find something that you can make a calling in your life so that when you go to work and you go into this area of ministry, you can find joy in it, and you can find passion in it, and you can find a tangible difference. And we're going to talk about this morning. You can find a platform to share the gospel more effectively than what you would do if you were miserable in another job, okay? And so the way that I want to empower you to do that is through the two things that you have in your hands. One of them that you have in your hand is a hammock. And I don't know why this is. But when you turn from 18 to 19 years old in this day and age, all of a sudden, everybody has a hammock. And you go to public parks and you go to college campuses and you see people just in hammocks all over the place. And this hammock is used as a gift to say, hey, it's a gift from Venture Church. Use it. Like, find a place on a college campus, find a place in your backyard, find a place where you can just like rest and be with the Lord and experience his presence and hang out. Like, literally just hang out. But also, the book in there is a tool to help you do life well and to do calling well in the next stage of life. I've talked to some of you about this book already, but this book is called The Relentless Elimination of Hurry. And it's actually really beautiful because our women's ministry is going through this book right now. And so venture-wide, we're kind of delving into this book together. But there's a story from this book that I want to share from this platform, and I'll let you read the rest. There was two groups during westward expansion when the United States was going from the East Coast to the West Coast. And these two groups are they're traveling from one coast to the other. I can't say that word. They're traveling from one coast to the other. And one group decides, like, hey, we are going to put our nose to the grindstone and we are going to go all the way there. We're not going to stop. We're not going to do anything. We're just going to get there as quickly as possible. And then one group was like, hey, we're gonna do our due diligence. We're gonna go hard for 6 days, but on Sunday we're gonna rest. Like, we're gonna take time to rejuvenate, to recuperate, to rest, and not only to just rest and just like not do anything, but to experience the Lord and to respect the Sabbath and to experience what he has on the day of rest. I don't know if you guys know this, but on the seventh day the Lord rested, and he didn't need to rest. He wasn't tired. He wasn't exhausted, but he chose rest as an example to set for us. And so I would encourage you that as you read that book, you're going to learn how to rest well. You're going to learn how to adopt Sabbath in your life. And I would encourage you, run hard, pursue your career, pursue your calling, like run hard, be the best at it. I think Christians need to own their career fields, own their callings more than any other people groups so that we can have the platforms to share the gospel pleasantly, but also be competent people. I believe that for you. But there's also a moment in your life where you need to rest and rejuvenate and recuperate and experience the presence of the Lord to give you more and more filling in your life so you can do it over and over again. And so here's my encouragement to you. Hang up that hammock somewhere private, Throw your cell phone over your shoulder and bring that hardcover book and read the book as it is. Take that, 3 to 6 to 8 to 10 hours, however long it takes you to read the book, and just enjoy your experience with it, and then apply some of the things to your life, and it will help you in your next avenue because it's about to get a whole lot busier. All the parents and everybody said amen. It gets a whole lot busier after this. And so, and everything in the meantime, your church family is here for you. I'm here for you. Your adult leaders are here for you. We want to celebrate you and charge you into this next season. And again, we've already said it a numerous amount of times, but we're proud of you. We're excited for you. And so, Venture Church, one more time, can we give a thunderous applause to all of our seniors this morning? Alrighty, I'm going to dismiss everybody off the stage, and then we're going to step into teaching time for a little bit more this morning. You've got just a little bit more time with me this morning, but I'm going to keep it brief because I've already given you a senior sermon, and the TV's coming out right now, and I'm just going to give you a quick sermon real quick. So if you have your Bibles, if you have your devices, if you have your notepads, whatever you have, your copy of God's Word, I would invite you to open up to the book of Acts chapter 2. The place that we've been in for a long time, but we've got one more thing that we want to step into this morning, and we're going to learn a lot from it. And so here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about home one more time. And I know we're kind of gotten to the point where we've heard this passage a lot. And we've gone through every facet of this passage, and we've dissected every single verse. And I remember when I preached about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I actually preached like 4 words out of like an 8-word verse. Like, we have dissected this thing in every which way and form. And so I'm excited to dissect it just a little bit more. But here's the perspective I want to look at it from this morning. I want to look at it from this. And I want to make this very personal to you. I want to say, like, yes, this is church-wide. This is a we over me type thing. But I also want you to take this moment and be like, okay, for me personally, my individual self, when I think of just who I am, what would happen if I, Travis, what would happen if you adopted the same mindset of the early church in Acts 2? Like, what if this just wasn't some scripture that we read and was like, that's neat, that's cool, it's encouraging. But what if this was like a playbook? What if this was a blueprint to apply directly to our lives, that we look at this people group in the early church and we're not like, that just defines them, but it defines me. What does it look like to take that approach with this passage of scripture? Well, I think it changes the way that we read this, because if we go through this thing verse by verse, everything would change. Every single thing in your life would change if we started living and adopting the habits of the early church. If we didn't just say that was the Acts 2 church, that was when they had all of the excitement, and that's when Jesus was there. He taught them how to do this. That was when the apostles were there. Like John and Paul and Peter, they were right there with him. So of course they would take this thing by the mantle, they would take it by the horns. Of course they would be impacted by it. But here we are 2,000 years later, and we have this thing called hindsight. And we have this thing called like revisionist history. We have this thing that we look back upon of all these things, and they've been proven true. We've been shown enough evidence to say these are tangibly true and they actually happened. We can take all of those things and still apply them to our lives 2,000 years later. We do not need John in the room. We do not need a Peter in the room. We do not need these individuals in the room to push us forward and to light the fire under us to make this thing happen in our life. When we look at the gospel is enough to change everything in your life. I'm going to say that again. The gospel is enough to change everything in your life. You don't need a passionate preacher. You don't need a passionate person. Like, the gospel is enough for you. And so I want to start looking at things in our life and say, like, what would legitimately change? What would practically change if I took this passage to heart? Well, the first thing I would say is if we read this verse together, they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to the fellowship and to the breaking of bread and the prayers. The direction of devotion changes. All of a sudden, I'm taking what the apostles, what Jesus taught, and I'm applying my life in that direction. So I think of it like this. At one point when I was not following Jesus, I was walking in a certain direction, but then repentance happened, an about face happened, a completely 180 rotational turn happened, and I started following a different direction. When your life is following a different direction post-salvation than what it was once before, everything changes. Your attitude changes. We talked about this a little bit ago, or a couple weeks ago when I was preaching, but food changes. Like the way that we steward food, the way that we like operate and taste food. And for me, like I had a pretty checkered past, a pretty colored history. Like the actual way food tasted changed for me when I started following Jesus. Like everything changed across the board. But if we look more at this, the commonality of lifestyle and conviction and belief changes because awe comes upon the soul. Everything changes when they start seeing the signs and the wonders. Let's look at this. They believed and had all things together in common. So again, this common belief of like, I love Jesus and you love Jesus, and that's enough for the gospel to go into the world and to impact a dying world, right? Because that's what's at stake. It's a dying world. We have the gospel, which we can redeem it and redeem people, and that's enough to have that commonality together to push forward. Let's look at this. Our charity changes. They sell possessions and belongings and distributing the proceeds to all. And so all of a sudden, the stuff that I own, the money that I own, the house that I own, the car that I own, it's not mine anymore. It's open-handed so that people can receive it as well. When there's a need that arises, a need is provided for because everything that I own, all my belongings, all my possession, all of myself, as I steward this possession, as I steward this body of flesh and blood, it's not my own. So I give it away willingly to the gospel so that people can see it. The next thing that we look at is, again, food changes everything. You break bread. You start getting coffee with people that you didn't normally start getting coffee with. You start inviting people over to your house. You start having these small group discussions around food. Like food literally changes your life because everybody needs 3 meals a day, and you can spend those 3 meals getting the people and meeting people and taking more and more people, discipling them, showing them the beauty of the gospel, and receiving food well. Another thing that changes is fellowship. Again, when you have fellowship and you have this mingling of the church, you have this family ties, it's not just like, hi, how are you? I'm good. Okay, good. See you next Sunday. It's like, how's your life? How's your family? What are you doing? How can I help? How can I step in? How can I pray for you? How can I give this body away to make sure that you're provided for? How can I give possessions away to make sure that you are provided for? How can I help? How can I serve? How can we do this thing together? You have favor with all the people around you. And I would just say this, just to sum this up, pleasantry. Christians should be pleasant. When I'm around a follower of Jesus, I should be like, I really enjoy that person. That person's fun to be around. That person's great to be around. I'm more encouraged when I'm around a follower of Jesus. I'm more at peace when I'm at a follower of Jesus. So often we find ourselves and we're like, oh, I don't know if I want to be with that person today. I don't know if I want to make time for coffee with that person. And again, our lives should be marked by pleasantry. Because if we're going to be compared, and we are going to be compared to every lifestyle in this world, you should look at every lifestyle and what it has to offer, and you should look at the Christian and be something like, that person's got something different. I want what that person's selling. We're all selling something, but the gospel, this thing that we sell, this thing that we try to give away to people, that we try to live it out, should be the most envious, should be the most infectious, should be the most joyous thing, and it's by our pleasantry as followings of Jesus. And then the last thing is this right here. The Lord added to their number day by day those who are being saved. I'm going to say this, so this is where it's going to hit us right between the eyes this morning. This is like my biggest charge to you as a people. Your following should change. The people who follow you should change. I'm not just talking about shifting your friendships and like dropping toxic people. I'm not saying that. That's not what I'm saying. If that's between you and God to figure out of like who is a person in your life that you're trying to be the gospel for, and there's a time in your life where you're trying to like be the gospel with, you know what I mean? There's a difference between those two things, but your following should change because of this right here. If everything changes, what would happen? Obedience would produce the platform. This is cryptic for a reason. The platform that obedience produces is the pleasantry of your life, so that if I look at you and I'm like, there's something that person's got that this world needs, or something this person's got that I need, but that platform is only provided by the obedience that you have to offer, okay? So here's how I say this. Like there is a transactional relationship that God's offering us to us right now. He's saying, if you will be obedient and you will follow these things and you will step into favor and pleasantry with people, then in verse 27, the Lord added to their number. I've been in ministry a long time. I have never saved a single person. Those of you who have been in ministry a long time, you have never saved a single person. That is God's job. That is God's business to save people. Our job in the meantime of this transaction is to be obedient and to provide the platform so that people see us. They're like, I want that Jesus. I want what that person's got to offer. When he says things, when she says things, when they are in the place of pleasantry, I want what they have to offer. And so if you read this juxtaposition between verse 43, where it says, awe came upon all the believers. And this word awe, I found this very interesting. It actually translates to fear or terror. And you're like, what? Why would fear and terror come upon the people that are believing in Jesus? And it's because of this. They knew what was at stake. They knew that if their platform was not shown to the world and the gospel was not being spread to the world through them, that the consequences were eternally dire. Again, I'm not the heaven or hell guy that preaches this, but they understood that hell was a real place because Jesus talked about it because he was there, and the apostles kept that teaching going on, that this was a real place that people would go to if they didn't believe in Jesus. And so they had this fear in their lives that I've only got, and at that time I was 40 years. I've only got 40 years to be obedient and to be as pleasant as possible and to use this platform that I've got. I've only got 40 years. I think the life expectancy in this room is about 80 years old. We've only got 80 years to figure this out. We've only got 80 years to save as many people as possible or to let our lives be the platform by which people see us and want to follow Jesus. And it's not about being right or correct. I'm going to say that one more time. It is not about being right about the gospel or being correct about the gospel. Romans 2:5 says this, do you not know that Jesus' kindness is meant to lead to repentance? Jesus' kindness is meant to lead to repentance. So the best thing that you can adopt in this transactional relationship is to be kind, not to be right, not to be this arguing pharisaical person that's right about their opinion and right about Jesus and right about the gospel and all this stuff. If we're right, then it opens the door for us to be pleasant. And it opens up the platform to us to show this world kindness so that can lead them to Jesus. I don't know if about you guys, but there's been no one in my life that has argued with me, yelled at me, cursed at me, whatever, and then I'm like, okay, I'm going to sell what you've got to offer. But there's been people in my life that have discipled me, that have been a mentor to me, that have loved me, that have taken care of me, that have adopted me, that have shown me kindness, and I'm like, oh, okay, I can give that away. That's what I've been looking for in this life, not just be correct. I've been looking for Jesus this whole time, and this person provided the platform to show me who that was. And as followers of Jesus, we get to experience this thing called suffering. I know that's not a fun thing to experience sometimes. I'm number one of being I don't like that. But this suffering in our life, it often is the platform to show us the kindness of Jesus. Because we as followers of Jesus have this hope, this peace, this joy that is not defined by suffering. In fact, as followers of Jesus, we embrace that suffering so that we can display the platform of joy, of peace, of contentment, of gentleness, of kindness, of self-control, so people can see it. Your obedience gives you a favor and a right standing with others so that the platform of the gospel makes sense when you're able to share it. I don't know about y'all, but what would happen if we started following Jesus and we started acting like the early church? People would start following Jesus. I think it's pretty plain and simple. I don't think that the Lord gave us this passage so that we could look at it and be just encouraged by what the church leaders used to do. I think he gave us this passage so that we can start applying these things to our lives and do them. I think about it like this. I'm going to let y'all behind the ministry curtain for a little bit. In the student ministry, we have KPIs, we have measurables and metrics, and we have SOP, we have all those things. I want to share you something, salvation will never be a KPI or a measurable or metrics that we define our success by. It just won't, because that's God's job. It's not my job to reach into people's hearts and change the heart in the direction of it. I can't do that. If I could do that, I would be much more famous and much more wealthy and much more successful than I am right now. I'd be much more holy than I am now. I don't have that power. It's not my job, though. It's not our job. Our job is to be obedient in the meantime and to provide the platform so that God can do his best work. God's best work is saving people, redeeming people, reconciling people, and the best way that we can stand in our position of this job is to provide the platform so people can see it. And here's a good way to know if you are, let's talk about metrics and measurables, if you are metrically and measurably doing this in your life. I've been reading this book recently, and it's called Disappointment with God. It's by an author named Philip Yancey. And there's lots of good stuff in it, but one of the things that's impacted me the most is this quote. And he says, when you look forward to your future, it should always be heaven-bound. You should be looking to heaven. And the way that you look to heaven is that it shapes your future, it shapes your life. Because no longer I'm not really worried about what happens tomorrow. I'm not really worried about what happens on the way home. I'm worried about like the eternity that's at stake for myself and for the people around me when I look at heaven. When I think of the joy and the peace and the presence and the experience of knowing Jesus above all else. Because think about it like this, like heaven isn't cool because it's got pearly gates or like gold fences or anything. It's cool because it has Jesus. And so when I look heaven bound and I see Jesus, I'm like, oh, I can experience this right now. There's nothing stopping me from experiencing Jesus. There's nothing stopping me from having a relationship with him. There's nothing stopping me from stepping into the presence of Jesus and enjoying it just as I would enjoy kinship and friendship with my wife or a friend or a family member. There's nothing stopping it. So when I look heaven bound, it changes my perspective of where I am right now. And when you look behind you, and again, hear me out. I'm a psychology major. Like I totally understand the value in looking behind and seeing trauma and healing from that and growing from that. I fully understand that, but I want us to adopt this perspective real quick. When you look behind you, if you're looking heaven bound in front of you and you're looking behind you, the only thing that matters is how many people are following you there. I'm going to say that one more time. This is what we're here on this earth for. How many people are following you to heaven? How many people are you discipling? How many people, like, I'm not saying, like, go up to somebody in the grocery store and, like, bring a Bible and, like, yell at them. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying go and make converts. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm saying what we have as an opportunity of a people group is to be obedient and to make disciples. That's the Great Commission. When Jesus was giving, like, the first and great commandment, he said, go, therefore, and make disciples. So I ask you very candidly, very simply, where are you at in this? When you look behind you, is there anyone following you to heaven? When you see your life, your mentorship, your leadership, do you say to yourself, man, I've got droves of people that are going to heaven because of my efforts and my obedience. Like Jesus was able to save them through the suffering and through the structure and through the dedication, through the blood, sweat, and tears that I put into this thing. If it was dependent upon me, they'd be going, and I'm going to pray like it's dependent upon Jesus to get them there. Can we honestly take a look at our lives and look behind us for a second and say, do we have many people following us? Philip Yancey said that, and I'm like, oh, okay. That's convicting. If that's the metric and measurable by which we're thinking about success from an early church perspective, because again, the Lord added to their numbers, so they were doing something right. They were making disciples. They were preaching the gospel, so that's our perspective too. And I would just say this. I'm going to say three very candid things, okay? If no one is following you, it's probably for one of three reasons. You're simply like not being obedient right now. You're not doing it. So out of this area of I've either not been instructed to or I haven't been doing it, there's maybe some ignorance that's there right now. Like you just aren't doing it. The second part is like, and I just want to be like, you be honest with you. I'm not making accusations. I'm just asking a question for you to consider. Maybe your platform is not worthy of being followed. When we're thinking of pleasantry and we're thinking of a follower of Jesus, a person who has peace and joy and contentment and goodness and faithfulness and self-control, maybe we haven't been experiencing those things. Maybe I haven't been displaying those things, and maybe that's why my following is not as much as it could be, because I've been neglecting those things in my life. But here's where I think most of us are at. I think most of us are in this category, this third category, if I'm not equipped to do so. Like, I think I have the willingness, but no one has ever invested in me enough to teach me how to make disciples. No one has ever showed me the ropes. No one ever got the coffee with me, and no one ever took me out. No one ever invited me into a discipleship relationship, and so I don't know how to do this. I would like to know, but I don't know. To that, I can say we have a very clear solution here at Venture Church. We actually have this thing called an application you can go on, and there's a big button that says Mentor Me. And if that's your desire, you're like, I have the desire, but I don't think I have the equipping to do so, like we can help like supplement that. We have staff members and we have healthy leaders that would be willing to step with you and teach you how to make disciples. Like that's a part that Venture Church can really step in and make a difference in your life. If you're willing to step in and make that, if you want to make disciples, you want to get those coffees, you want to start making those connections, we have that equipped for you. We will love to do that. But the first two of your platform is not worthy of being followed or you're simply just not doing it, that's something that I think you need to wrestle with. It's something that I think you need to consider this morning. And I'm going to end with this. I think it's time. I think it's time to figure out like where you are on this and on this metric of these three things, and make some decisions of what you want to do next. Because if I can just say this very simply, very candidly, if you're in this place and you're just doing the church thing, you're just coming on Sundays and coming on Wednesdays, and you're not experiencing the fullness of life, which that's what we're after. Jesus didn't come to give you half a life. He didn't come to give you this I'm trying to figure out like thing. He gave you this life to be complete. There was once a time where I didn't know Jesus, and I was a wayward person that had no idea what they were doing. But now that I found Jesus, I have direction, and I have the fruits of the Spirit, which is love, joy, peace, patience, gentleness, self-control, faithfulness, goodness. Our souls are desperate for that, and we have it at our disposal. And so it's time to either take that seriously or to not. At Venture Church, I want you to hear this in love. If you're not there, you're missing out. You're missing out on what the fullness of God can be in your life. You're missing out on what true peace, true joy, true self-control, like the trueness of it all. You're missing out on it if you're just settling for a cheap imitation of Christianity when it's not the real thing. I said it like this past Wednesday. I think sometimes we're okay with trying to fix our lives ourselves with Scotch tape, when the literal like molder, the potter, the person who created us out of dust is waiting to make us complete and to make us whole. So Venture Church, don't settle for Scotch tape this morning. Don't settle for it. That's not what God has saved you or equipped you to be. He's equipped you to be complete and to equip you to be a masterpiece and to equip you to be this person that makes a tangible difference, not only in your family, your friendship circles, in this world, in your world. He's equipped you to do so. And where you need help, we would love to help you. That is the best thing that we can do as this church, is help you follow Jesus, to equip the saints to do the work of the ministry. And we can celebrate this over and over again because the Lord will add to their numbers. Not just for Venture Church, but this entire kingdom of God. He will add to their numbers if we are obedient to him and we love him and we experience his presence over and over and over again. I'm going to pray for us. I'm going to ask you to stand, and then I'm going to send us out of here. Jesus, thank you so much for who you are. God, thank you that you are good, that you are holy. God, thank you that there's no reason for us to be right when you are right. Our focus is to be right with you and to be right with people, God. I pray for boldness. I pray for encouragement. I pray for the person who's considering the next steps in their life right now. I pray that this wouldn't just be a Sunday where you hear a word and you go to lunch. But I pray that we would steward food well, that we would steward the word well, that we would steward our bodies and our lifestyles well. So God, if there's work to be done in the hearts around here, and I know there's work to be done in my heart, God, would you do that work? Just as I've charged the seniors to rest in your presence throughout the rest of their lives, God, I charge myself and I charge this church to rest and to introspectively think about where we're at right now. But I thank you that there's joy and there's encouragement, and there's peace and there's love and there's kindness in the meantime while we figure this thing out, Jesus. It's in your precious name I pray. Amen. Well, Venture Church, may the Lord bless you and keep you, make his face shine upon you. Have a great Sunday. Seniors, we're so excited for you, and have a good week.